one thing we have to realize is there are really no authorities. I'm not an authority. No one's an authority. What we all should be is skeptics. We should be able to apply what we know and look at the data. The skeptics, there are no authorities. In God we trust, all others must show data. They must show proof that things work. And we also have to take into account, this is not Dr. Christensen, but another very popular speaker that I saw his list. He's in, a lot of people pay this speaker to provide money to the speaker to discuss them products. I added Pizza Hut myself on the bottom here. Pizza Hut does not pay this speaker to do it. But all those other things, he receives money from all those companies. And hopefully those companies are hoping that they throw him a bone, when he's speaking, that say, hey, let's talk about Biolase when you speak, which is a laser company. Or let's talk about, Prodentec or Biora. So these is a typical speaker. This one might be a little more excessive, actually, the typical speaker that receives money from all these different places when he speaks. I looked at this and I said, I threw this one out there for my daughter Christina back there. There's no authorities except for this man. He might be an expert at champagne. he might, this is a true authority. But again, this is how we're manipulated to allow us to want to buy that product. If George Clooney says that this champagne is the best, we might buy it, but George may be right, knowing about George. I asked my daughter Christina years ago, I go, who do you like better? Do you remember this, Chrissy? Who do you like better? She's hiding back there. Who do you like better, George Clooney or Derek Jeter? And she goes, George Clooney. And I go, do you know he's older than me? She goes, I don't care. All right. Local delivery, antimicrobial agents. Let's look at it a little closer. We have Arrestin. We have, what's this one? Periochip. We have Atrodox that are still, Atrodox is actually trying to make a little bit of a comeback. They all fight bacteria, right? They're all forms of tetracycline where we have minocycline, well, the chlorhexidine, of course, is the Periochip. We have minocycline and we have a form of doxycycline for the Atrodox. But they all are antimicrobials. So let's look at the evidence. There is definitely clinical research on this topic. We know that when you put something like Arrestin in a pocket, it does stay around for up to 10 days. That's why this is the only time when a patient's not allowed to floss, right? Which I said, when I use Arrestin, I go, you received a great gift. You cannot floss this site for 10 days. Let's look at Arrestin. It does show in the data that Arrestin overscaling and root planing alone has a 37% reduction. So you have scaling and root planing alone is about 1 millimeter of reduction, where Arrestin plus scaling and root planing is 1.38 millimeter reduction. Let's look at Atrodox. It's a little closer. It's probably closer to 0.2 when it comes to the reduction in pocket depth compared to scaling and root planing. So there's a little bit of difference, a little closer. So you have one that's like 0.3 and one that's 0.2. So overall, when you look at local delivery agents, it's 0.25 to 0.5 millimeters were achieved with local delivery agents. Were used as an adjunct to scaling and root planing in pockets greater than 5. So this does show data that is positive. It does show data that it's 0.25 to 0.5 millimeters. But you have to realize too that 0.25 millimeters is awfully tiny. I don't know if any of us could measure 0.25 millimeters. So it comes to some things, sometimes things are statistically significant, but clinically it's a little difficult to judge. So we really have to understand the nature of statistics also when we look at things. Let's talk at statistics a little bit. Do you know that in the United States, half the population has below average intelligence? Do you know that's true? Do you know that's true? You know why? Because the other half has above average intelligence. There's always, when you have an average, 50% is one way, 50% is another way. So if I say half the room is below average, that means the other half of the room is above average, and we average in the middle. That's average. So that is statistics. So we have to look at it very carefully. They actually, that comes from an old quote that was attributed to Eisenhower. When Eisenhower was told that half the United States had below average intelligence, he was like, that's remarkable. I can't believe that. But you have to really think what that statement really means. Remember, Mrs. Gump, your son falls down here. You know, he was on the below average side of intelligence. So let's move along. So local delivery agents should be considered as an adjunct to chronic periodontitis when you do scaling and root planing. When localized pocket depths have greater than 5 millimeter of pocket depths after traditional therapy, it's definitely recommended. And this statement comes directly from the Academy of Periodontology, as everything really is in this lecture is taken from a source. So when you do treatment, or you have a recall patient that has pocket depth that's greater than 5, definitely consider using a local delivery agent in the treatment of this patient. But you should consider other therapies when there's multiple areas of pocket depths greater than 5 millimeters in the same quadrant. When you have used local delivery agents in the past and it's not working, say you have a recall patient that you put some Arrestin in, it's a 5, and a year later it's a 6, you should consider using something else or going back to traditional therapy. Or when you have anatomical defects like infrabony defects, you should consider using a different type of treatment. So there definitely is a place for this. So let's ask the questions. I will finish up. How reliable was the source of the claim? Of course, there's been a lot of studies that were funded with local delivery by the manufacturers. Have the claims been verified by another source? No, not really, but there has been a lot of research. Does the claim fit with what we already know? What do you think? Yes, it does. Because we know that periodontal disease is caused by bacteria. So if we use an antimicrobial agent, you're going to get better. So what's the range on this one? From probably true to probably not true. Local delivery is closer to probably true. But we have to realize that there's a time and a place for it. But you know what? The bottom line is don't take my word for it. Find out yourself. When information is presented to you by me, by anyone else, look at the data, ask the 3 questions, and come up with the range yourself. Now, this group is taken on a life of its own. I feel like it's, I look up on the crowd, it's like the Hygiene army. We could take over Rhode Island with as many people that are in the room today. And I really appreciate the growth and just really the people that I see the faces every year. I mean, there's some people that have been here all 11 years, some people 10 out of 11, you know, because they had a baby that day. You know, it's really been great. I want to thank you for helping us make this better. With the criticism you give us, we do really relate to it.